The South Dakota Stories, Volume 5. She used to dread the winter, the cold, driving in the snow, but that was before she started spending it in the right place. Now, wandering the snow puts a smile on her face, and breathing in the landscapes warms her spirit more than any coat. Because if South Dakota taught her anything, it's that it's never too cold to have too much fun. There's so much South Dakota, so little time. The South Dakota Stories, Volume 4. I remember wondering why I'd ever visit South Dakota in the winter. But then again, why hadn't I? There was so much wilderness to explore, so many ways to restore my soul, and so many landscapes that put a smile on my chilly face. So why would I visit South Dakota in the winter? 'Cause this is where winter was meant to be. There's so much South Dakota, so little time.
Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Let's seek the truth and travel the long road to justice together. What you know, Alibiers, happy Tuesday. Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi, and I'm tired. Before we get started, first off, I want to give a big thank you to Diane for her generous PayPal donation. She's also my Elvis buddy. She's been sending me some Elvis memorabilia, and she supported this podcast really since the very beginning. So thank you, Diane. I appreciate you so much. Music fact of the day. John Lennon's last stage performance was in 1974 at Madison Square Garden in New York City after Elton John coaxed him up on stage to sing a duet. They ended up singing 3 songs together, and unfortunately, as we all know, he was murdered, and that was the last time he was ever in front of an audience. So, the elephant in the room, Colby, was arrested for 2 counts of sexual assault. And, man, you know, I did a whole episode on this earlier today that had some details in it, and then just thought to myself that it's just not my place to put those kind of details out there. I retweeted Justin Lum last night. He was the one that broke this story. It was after 11. I was literally grabbing my phone to put it in Do Not Disturb when I saw the alert. But I just think that with everything his wife is going through right now, I just didn't feel comfortable putting out details of what happened past what was put out publicly yesterday. So we're going to go through, for those of you who don't have social media or watch the news, and surprisingly, a lot of our listeners don't have social media, I have found out. So he was arrested on 2 counts of sexual assault on Sunday. Justin Lum, like I said, broke that story late last night. The incident happened on August 31st. And it was against his wife, Kelsey, and she reported it to Mesa police on September 2nd. Colby was arrested the next day on September 3rd. Now, what we have learned is that they have been living apart for about a month now, and they put a message up on their YouTube page, Live with the Ryans, a month ago. It says, "Hey, YouTube family, sorry there hasn't been any update on the morning show. We will be postponing for a while. Also, we haven't been posting much. We love and appreciate you all, but things are rough right now. So if you can keep us all in your prayers, we'd appreciate it." So she recorded him the next morning without him knowing, I believe, where he admitted to the rape. And after his arrest, he did confess to investigators that he did rape her. So he had his initial appearance, and I think this might have been the night he was arrested. I'll put these pictures up on the drive with a link in the description as usual. He's wearing the same tank top in that initial appearance as he was in his booking photo. But the judge says that Colby owes the officers a debt of thanks. These type of charges, if we don't clear out the gallery, can cause problems if you're moved to the general population. It's imperative that you don't let anyone see your paperwork that we're going to hand you tonight except your attorney. You don't talk to anybody but your attorney about these charges because we worry about your safety. Can you do that for me? And Colby says, "Yes, sir." The judge says you're here for 2 counts of sexual assault, both class 2 felonies. I've appointed you an attorney. Your next hearing out in Mesa is September 9th, which is this coming Friday, by the way, and the 13th, which is next Tuesday, I believe. Bond is set in the amount of $10,000 cash only. If you do make bond, you will be released to pretrial services, electronic monitoring, no contact with the alleged victim or arresting officers. Do not possess any drugs without a valid prescription. Do not drive a motor vehicle without a valid license. And the judge says, good luck in Mesa on the 9th. Colby seemed nervous during that first appearance. He was kind of shifting on both feet. Frequently would talk over the judge, yes, sir. And so as far as we know, he's still in custody on that bail of $10,000 cash. So the documentary, ironically, The Sins of Our Mother, is due to be released the 14th. So he has the hearing on the 9th and then the 13th. And then the next day is the documentary. We haven't heard anything that I know of today as far as do they plan to still air it, because both Colby and Kelsey are featured on that documentary. I don't know that they'll pull it. In the past, they have pulled stuff when allegations like this have been made, although, I mean, he confessed to Kelsey and to investigators that he did it. I don't know if they'll put a disclaimer at the beginning or something like that. We'll see what happens. So what are the possible sentences for a dangerous class 2 felony? Well, if you have no prior felonies, it's a minimum of 7 years, presumptive 10 years, 6 months, and a max of 21 years. Court TV did have a panel on, and they said it could be that he gets leniency because he admitted it to authorities and also to Kelsey. So just some statistics about spousal rape. 14% of married women report they were raped by their spouse, and 10% of all reported sexual assault cases reported by women involve a spouse or ex-spouse. But, and this is sad, marital rape is the most underreported form of sexual assault. And, you know, kudos to Kelsey for knowing her worth and knowing that she was violated. This has to be a very, very confusing and traumatic time for her. I feel terrible for her and her daughters. Some more facts. Women who are sexually abused by intimate partners suffer severe and long-lasting physical and mental health problems. They have higher rates of depression and anxiety than women who are either raped by a non-intimate partner or physically but not sexually abused by an intimate partner. I don't think it matters who a woman is raped by. I don't see that there's, any competition of who has it worse. It's traumatic and yeah. So until 1976, state laws specifically exempted spousal rape from general rape laws. And in 1976, Nebraska was the first state to legally recognize non-consensual intercourse with a spouse is rape. By 1993, all 50 states had either completely or partially repealed their spousal rape exemptions, but some states still have some form of spousal rape exemptions, and it is often legally considered a different, lesser crime than non-spousal rape. What's scary is that most Americans, or many Americans, do not believe marital rape is actually rape. No means no. Rape is rape. Doesn't matter if you're married, engaged, single, or a stranger. That's my opinion. If you or someone you know has experienced rape, incest, or abuse, there is help. The number is 1-800-656-HOPE. That's 1-800-656-4673. And, my opinion on this, I've been asked all day. I'm not going to get into it too deep, but when you break a law, you have consequences. And Colby will probably have some consequences from this. Most importantly, I just hope that Kelsey is already getting the help she will need to get through this. I know she has a really strong family support system from what I've heard. And so anyways, that's all I really kind of wanted to cover with that. It's just a sad situation for Kelsey and the kids. And, Kelsey's been thrown into this. She has grieved the loss of JJ and Tylee and Charles a lot. And then this. So my thoughts go to her. So we're going to jump back into our timeline. So we're going to go with December 16th, the last episode. We went through Zulima's testimony, or her interview with police back in April of last year. So December 16th, Tylee's Facebook account accepted 2 new friend requests, which is really odd. Kay emails Detective Moffat asking if Gibbs' interview is today or tomorrow. So clearly Gibb was interviewed around this time. December 17th, investigators email about Tylee's Facebook account and says there's not a lot there, but something glaring to them is that it was accessed from California and Kansas. On the same day, the 17th, Ian reaches out to detectives on behalf of Melanice, saying that she wanted to clear her name. She said she had a lot of information, but was hesitant to provide it in an interview setting due to previous bad experiences with the police. She offered to provide a written statement to start, and they could ask her follow-up questions. And she asked if they could give her back some property from Rexburg, including a computer. At this point, detectives didn't have a warrant to search them, I don't think. Ian said Melanice was probably going to seek legal advice from Lori and Chad's attorney. And she also wanted to see if she could arrange Christmas gifts to be sent to her children through a third party. At this point, she was not in contact with them at all. In a report on December 17th, it's noted that Ian told Rexburg PD and the FBI that Melanice said she would go to prison or die before turning against Lori and Chad, which says a lot. I think some people feel she was gullible and all that, but even after they deserted her, she still was holding whatever she held. Kay emails Detective Moffat telling of the different places Lori has connections to in Hawaii and asks if anyone is watching any of the schools on the island. She spoke to someone who did business with Charles and Brandon, who lives on the island, and this person didn't even know that Charles had been murdered until Kay told him. So Lieutenant Ron Ball from Rexburg PD and Officer Rick Schmidt talked to Tammy's brother-in-law, Jason, at the Springville Police Department. And December 18th, Chad's parents, Jack and Sheila, are interviewed by Rexburg PD. I have to say, Chad's family really seem like good people. You have to wonder, being raised in what seems like a good home with good people, what went wrong? Like, what happened? December 19th, Kay emails Detective Moffat and says she and Larry want to be a part of the press release about JJ and Tylee being missing, to put a face out there instead of it being printed that the grandparents missed their grandson. She also asks if there's any way they could meet any of Chad's kids or the Daybell family to make JJ real to them. She also wanted to reach out to JJ's teachers to ask about his demeanor while he was at school. And Kay mentions that he's had so many changes so fast, and JJ doesn't adapt to that easily. And Fruit Loop and I both have talked about this in the past, working with autistic kids. We both have. Consistency is key, and structure is what kids with autism thrive on. And so it's always made me so sad to think of the chaos from July, really January, but then July after Charles was murdered. It really was, JJ against them. And, Tylee had JJ's back. I know that. And that's why, to me, she'll always be a hero. I really think she moved up to Idaho to take care of him. She knew her mom wasn't at that point. The same day, the 19th, Hermosillo contacts Ian and says they have a search warrant for Alex's unit. He asks for the garage code so they don't have to bust down the door. And Ian gives it to them, and they go in with forensics to see if there's any sign that JJ had been there. And after law enforcement leaves, Ian goes into Alex's apartment to see if anything was taken, and also to look for the search warrant. And Ian admits to Melanice that he's been talking to the FBI and recording their conversations for 2 weeks. So on Dateline, Ian told Keith Morrison that she forgave him and they're moving forward. He says they will still answer any FBI questions through their attorney. He told Keith Morrison, I opened up to Melanice because, I'm starting to see her perspective. See, this isn't all the hype it's been made up to be. In an email between the FBI, Detective Moffat, and the Office of the Inspector General, they It says they agree there's potential fraud and potential endangerment issues with the children, and they say they're going to provide them information. It also says they want to suspend the benefits based on these issues, but want them to hold off until the Office of the Inspector General provides them with the information so the information doesn't potentially become stale. Remember, part of her charges is Social Security fraud for collecting payments after JJ and Tylee have been murdered. Also on this day, Lori sends Colby a Venmo transfer. Now, all over the course of these documents, there were like 48 or 49 transactions through Venmo, through either Tylee's account or Lori's account. And some of those Venmos were sent to Colby as if it were Tylee sending them. I mean, that's a lot of Venmos. That's a lot of Venmos. Why? It's weird. December 20th, first media reports about JJ and Tylee hit the internet and the TV. And Rexburg PD announced the investigation. Rexburg PD posts on their Facebook page, "We are urgently requesting your help in finding these two missing and endangered children. Please share with all your contacts and contact us if you have any information." So we're going to read through this press release because it's part of the timeline. And so on October, it says death investigation. On October 19th, 2019, family members found Tammy Daybell, 49, dead in her Fremont County home. At that time, Daybell's death was believed to be natural. Daybell was interred in Springville, Utah on October 22nd, 2019. Subsequent investigation by the Fremont County Sheriff's Office determined that Daybell's death may be suspicious. On December 11th, 2019, Daybell's remains were exhumed by the Fremont County Sheriff's Office with the assistance of the Utah Office of the Medical Examiner and an autopsy conducted. During the course of the death investigation, investigators were made aware that two Rexburg children, ages 7 and 17, were missing. Investigators determined that within a couple of weeks of Daybell's death, her surviving husband, Chad Daybell, had married Rexburg resident Lori Vallow, who is the mother of the missing children. So then it goes on to missing children background. On November 26, 2019, Rexburg PD attempted to conduct a welfare check on Joshua Vallow, the adopted 7-year-old special needs son of Lori Vallow, at their residence at 565 Pioneer Road in Rexburg. The welfare check was being conducted as extended family outside Idaho had not been able to speak with Joshua since September and were concerned. Investigators from Rexburg Police Department spoke with Lori Vallow and her new husband, Chad Daybell, who indicated Joshua was staying with a family friend in Arizona. Investigators left, but learned later that day that Joshua had not been staying with the friend as indicated by Lori Vallow. On November 27, 2019, Rexburg PD executed search warrants at locations in Rexburg associated with Lori Vallow in an attempt to locate Joshua. As the search warrants were being executed, investigators determined that Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell had abruptly vacated their residence and left Rexburg. Rexburg PD then requested assistance from the FBI in locating Joshua. Further investigation has determined that Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell did not appear to have Joshua with them when they left Rexburg. Investigators also determined Joshua last attended school at Kennedy Elementary in Rexburg on September 23, 2019. Additionally, investigators learned Lori Vallow has a 17-year-old daughter, Colby Ryan, who is living with Lori Vallow in Rexburg, but has also not been seen since September 2019. Investigators have contacted several family members of the children's extended family, but no one has been in contact with the children since September. Additionally, the children have not been reported missing to any law enforcement agency, and attempts to obtain the cooperation of Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell in locating the children have been unsuccessful. And then it underneath has the numbers that people could have called back when the kids were missing. So real quick, we're going to have a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. So we've talked about problem solving for the last few weeks. And, when we're sick, we go to the doctor. We get a diagnosis. We get a treatment plan. It should be the same with our mental health, because we can't fix everything on our own with just our daily obligations that we have, trying to figure out big and small problems on our own. Small problems add up, become huge problems, and they can consume you. A therapist can help you become a better problem solver. They can help you make it easier to accomplish your goals, no matter how big or how small. Well, what can you get from trying therapy? You can unload stress, emotional healing, help with anxiety and depression, and also get the perspective of an outsider who can see our problems at their core without emotional attachment, unlike our friends and family. This gives the therapist the knowledge of how to guide you to find ways to deal with life's problems that you probably won't figure out on your own successfully. So if you're thinking of giving therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option. It's online. You can do it by video chat, just regular text messaging back and forth, or over the phone. It's convenient, accessible, and affordable. Get matched with a therapist after filling out a brief survey and switch therapists at any time. So when you want to be a better problem solver, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/whattheworld today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/whattheworld. Thank you guys for listening. So East Idaho News on the same day publishes an article where Rexburg Police Chief Shane Turman says they've told us several stories about where the children are, but when we investigate, the children don't exist where they say they should. We don't know where they are at, but we think they are in pretty serious danger. And then Kay emails Detective Moffitt a draft of what I assume she was going to put on her social media. And it says, "This is my grandson, JJ Vallow. My brother and his wife adopted him in 2013. He's a beautiful, intelligent 7-year-old with the biggest heart, most beautiful smile," and it's redacted, so I'm not sure. It says, I think maybe she put he has autism. "Early intervention allowed him to flourish beyond all expectations. Lori was a wonderful, loving, attentive mother, but things started changing over the past year and a half. Lori began spending all her time with a new religious group. She eventually asked for a divorce from my brother. He did his best to try and save the marriage. She had no interest. On July 11th, 2019, Charles went to pick up JJ from Lori's home that he paid for her to have. She and her brother were there. He shot Charles twice in the chest, killing him. They claim self-defense. 4 people were in the home that day: Lori, Alex, and these 2 missing children. Alex mysteriously passed away on December 12th, and these 2 children haven't been seen since September 23rd. Worse still, Lori has remarried, and the wife of her new husband, Chad Daybell, mysteriously died on October 19th. I'm posting this and all articles related to the case, begging anyone who believes in justice to please share my post. Help me shed light on all this. Someone out there knows something, but doesn't know how all the pieces fit together. Help me connect them with the police so we can bring justice to my brother and the others in this case. And pray with me we can find these children alive. Please like and share this post. Help me find the people who can bring the truth to the authorities. I'm choosing only to share public information so as to not hurt the investigation in this case. Please feel free to DM me with any questions about the provided links," and she links several news articles. The same day, investigators say Tammy's death may be linked to JJ and Tylee's disappearance. Also on the 20th, Lori accesses JJ's school app. Like we said, pretty much every time there is something major going on with this investigation, she's on that app looking. And this, you have to understand, this app was from Arizona. He hadn't been there in months. So December 21st, 2019, investigators release photos of Lori and Chad and say they are persons of interest in the disappearance of JJ and Tylee. Investigators also email and say they verified with the property manager in Hawaii that Chad and Lori are staying at a certain address. The property manager had seen Chad that morning, and the officer from the Kauai PD says he hasn't seen Lori or Chad yet at the residence, and he's still trying to locate a vehicle. A video camera with live streaming was set up on the residence in one of their vehicles. Investigators also take photos of the residence that they were staying in. Also on this day, Brandon, Melanie's ex-husband, posts a lengthy Facebook post asking for people with information to call Rexburg PD. He actually posted this December 21st at 10:29 a.m. On October 2nd, on my way home from the gym, someone sat outside my home and shot a gun at me. They hit my vehicle and missed my head by inches. I have reason to believe this was related to all the following events. I will only share things in this post that are public information. Please don't ask for more. Please also understand I know firsthand how scary these people can be. And by sharing, I realize it can make us a target. As someone who has spent the last 2 months in hiding to protect my kids, I don't take this lightly. But I want to be a person who stands and fights for truth and justice. I have thought a lot about it, and I think he meant decided to share this. I can no longer sit by when sharing. I might help someone who knows something to come forward. Okay. This is about my wife's cousin, Joshua Jackson, JJ Vallow, born in Lake Charles, Louisiana. My wife's aunt and uncle Charles Vallow and his wife Lori adopted him in 2013. He's a beautiful, intelligent 7-year-old with the biggest heart, most beautiful smile, has life challenges of a level 2 boy on the autism spectrum. Early intervention allowed him to flourish. Lori was a wonderful, loving, attentive mother. Things started changing over the past 18 plus months when Lori began spending all her time with a new religious group that we refer to as a cult. She eventually deserted Charles and JJ for 2.5 months early this year. Charles did his best to save the marriage, of which she had no interest. My wife at this time, Melanie, began spending a lot of time with this group. At the end of June, she demanded a divorce, claiming revelation about things that were not real, and there was no evidence given, just a claim of being told by the Savior. And then he goes through the July 11th murder of Charles and Alex mysteriously passing away, and says the children haven't been seen since September 23rd. And he talks about Lori remarrying Chad, and then Tammy mysteriously dying October 19th. He does the same thing as Kay, just posts a lot of articles about the case. The same day, police seize Alex's truck from Zulima's, and Colby contacts investigators after seeing media reports on JJ and Tylee. He was concerned for their well-being. He said he tried to contact Lori, but her number was disconnected. He did not know Lori had married Chad until he saw it on the news. He told Justin Lum from Fox 10 Phoenix that he had never heard Chad's name before and that he was frustrated, pissed off, and confused. He also tells investigators that he has that Nissan Rogue that Lori told him he could use and that Alex delivered to him. If you remember, they drove that down from Idaho on Thanksgiving and left it at Ian's sister's house. Police ask for permission to process that car, and Colby agrees, so they get a search warrant and take possession of the car. Also, in an email between all the different agencies, they say it sounds like some of Chad's children, and they put in parentheses, Garth, Leah, and her husband will be traveling to Hawaii to spend Christmas with Chad and Lori, but they will not be staying with them, but at a friend's home instead. They will likely travel on December 23rd, but nothing is confirmed at this time. It also says they sent out an ARC request for possible travel, but it will only cover third-party bookings like Orbitz, Travelocity, things like that. So Gilbert investigators process that car that Colby had, the Rogue, and take evidence out of there. You know, there's a report in there where it talks about the DNA that they took. I'm not even going to begin to figure it out. I have read theories. That's just things I think we'll learn at trial. But also, Kay and Larry go on Fox 10 Phoenix asking for any information about JJ and Tylee. Brandon is also on there and says that Lori changed drastically after meeting Chad. He talks about JJ and Tylee and says they're both just innocent and they didn't deserve to be involved in any of this. So on December 22nd, Melanie reaches out to someone in the FBI covering the case, and there's an email. It says, Melanie Boudreau just reached out to me through Ian. She told me that she wanted to do the right thing and help clear her name. She said she had a lot of information, but was hesitant to provide it in an interview setting at this time due to her previous bad experiences with the police. I think I did this earlier. I'll have to double check those dates. Sorry, guys. She said she wanted to write a written statement and start, and then we could ask her follow-up questions based on what was in the statement. I told her that would be fine, and we appreciated any assistance she was willing to provide. She mentioned getting some nasty texts from people about what is going on with Chad and Lori and wants to clear her name. She raised two issues with me and asked me to find out for her. The first was if she could get back some personal property from Rexburg that includes a computer. I told her I would check on the status and let her know. I already talked to Ray about it. They have them, but have not gotten the warrant yet to search them. The second was if there was a way to help get Christmas gifts from her to her children. She knows they cannot try to contact them herself. I told her I would check. Perhaps Ryan can see if that is something that Brandon would accept. If he would, we could arrange to have them shipped to a third-party address who can see that her children get them. We had heard from Ian last Friday that Melanice was planning to seek legal advice from Chad and Lori's attorney, but did not say anything about being represented to me, and that attorney has never reached out to say he represents her. She plans to work on the statement tonight. I told her I would follow up tomorrow and see how it's coming. So December 23rd, Sean Bartholick, attorney briefly hired by Lori and Chad, issues a statement saying Chad Daybell was a loving husband and has the support of his children in this matter. Lori Daybell is a devoted mother and resents assertions to the contrary. We look forward to addressing the allegations once they have moved beyond speculation and rumor. She resents assertions to the contrary. Oh, boy. Also, in the AVAL forums, that's a voice of warning. That's the message boards they had. Not sure the exact post date because it only showed how many hours it was since it was posted. But it's around Christmas, and this was something me and Fruit Loop found early on when this case hit the news. We started just getting busy with looking around. The original post said by R.M. Foster. I have not read all the posts here as I have not had time to do so yet, but I wanted to reply in support of Chad and hope the negative judgment towards him will stop as we do not have the full story. I agree with Hector and his comments. I do not know Chad personally, but I have met him, read his books, and I know he is a sincere gentleman whom I believe would never be capable of harming anyone. I hope this nightmare comes to an end soon for Chad, his family, Lori, and her kids, and that things will end on a positive note with their names being cleared of any wrongdoing. And it's signed R.M. Foster. And somebody responded to that saying the unknown in all of this is Chad's new wife, Lori. Everyone loves Chad, but we don't know much about Lori. What kind of influence has she had on him? At any rate, I don't think we'll know much of the truth of things for a while. I pray that the children are okay. Some people were not supportive of Chad and said it all looks bad and that they should cooperate with authorities. But there was an overwhelming amount of support for Chad on that message board. And you see both sides. Chad's people are saying, what kind of influence has she had on him? And you have Lori's people saying, what kind of influence did he have on her? I think that's going to be what we see at trial. I think that's a sneak peek of what's to come. Let's see. Also, they in this AVAL forum, they were posting what relatives of Chad's had put online. They were posting stuff that Kay and Leary were posting, and everybody like Brandon. Really weird. Investigators arranged to meet with Colby, his wife, and their child to get DNA samples for comparison since they found blood in the Rogue. They found an additional blood stain in the car on the front passenger seat, and that seat cover was cut out. Colby did not think the blood in the Nissan came from his family, so they gave buccal swabs to rule out their DNA as being contributors. The same day at 8:20 p.m., investigators go to Zulima's with a search warrant to seize Alex's truck. They asked Zulima if she knew where JJ and Tylee were, and she said she did not. They reinforced to her that they weren't going to take the kids. They just needed to check their welfare. And the investigator told Zulima they didn't believe she didn't know where the kids were. And Zulima said she had nothing to be afraid of and told them they could talk to her attorney. They asked for the keys to the truck, and she brings them out, and they process that truck. Same day, Melanice and Ian are interviewed by the FBI. It's said in the report that Melanice was dishonest about facts, and it's redacted. After that, it says she was not challenged on her lies because Ian was present and still cooperating with law enforcement, which I thought was interesting because I thought he had, said that he was done. And then the last thing we're going to cover today, and this picture always stands out to me. This is an interview that Brandon gave to Salt Lake City's Fox 13. And you've seen all the pictures of Brandon over the last almost 3 years. Hard to believe. We're coming up on 3 years since Tylee was murdered in just a couple of days. But you see the toll on him. He just looks tired. And, for me, I always thought you can see the physical toll this has taken on him. I mean, almost being murdered in your own driveway is enough. And then you've got missing kids that you love. Your friend Charles has been murdered. He said, I spent the last 11 years of my life spending time with Lori and her now deceased husband, Charles. I don't know what happened to those kids, but I know there's people who do, and they're not talking. You can't be a member of the church and believe those things. I think it's an infatuation with the end of the world and an infatuation with power. And they're using it to try to make money off people's beliefs. A couple of months ago, there was an attempt on my life, so I went into hiding with my kids. All I could think was, someone's shooting at me. What do I need to do? I need to hit the gas and get out of here. So we're going to end it here. We will pick back up on Christmas Eve and see what Melanice does looking for her kids. Anyways, so just a crazy, crazy news day, y'all. Since last night, just kind of hard to process. I don't know. It's just, just be sure to keep Kelsey in your thoughts and send her some good juju. This has got to be a very, very difficult time for her. So, all right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Hope you have a good rest of your evening.
This holiday season, recharge with the Planet Fitness Black Card for just $1 down and $24.99 a month. So instead of fighting a stranger in the mall over a stuffed T-Rex, bring a friend for free and work out on the TRX. Instead of freezing in line for a lame holiday deal, relax in the Black Card Spa with some hydro massage feels. Instead of being trapped at your in-laws, escape to any of our 2,400 Planet Fitness locations. Sign up today for the Planet Fitness Black Card, just $1 down and $24.99 a month. Cancel anytime. Deal ends November 30th. See Club for details.
The holidays start here at Baker's with a variety of options to celebrate traditions old and new. You could do a classic herb-roasted turkey or spice it up and make turkey tacos. Serve up a go-to shrimp cocktail or use Simple Truth wild-caught shrimp for your first Cajun risotto. Make creamy mac and cheese or a spinach artichoke fondue from our selection of Murray's cheese. No matter how you shop, Baker's has all the freshest ingredients to embrace all your holiday traditions. Baker's, fresh for everyone.